Good morning, students. Today we are going to start new chapter, dual nature of radiation and matter. So, new chapter. Matter. So, in this topic, first we discuss about the discharge of electric discharge in a gas and the discovery of electrons. So, what is meant by electric discharge means the passage of electric current through a gas is electric discharge, you can say. So, that means conduction, state of conduction in a gas, electric conduction in a gas is called electric discharge. Under normal conditions, there is no electrical conduction through gases. So, at normal temperature and pressures, usually all the gases are insulators for electric current. But when the pressure is decreased, that means under the low pressure and high applied voltage, some electrical conduction takes place in gases, and that is called electric discharge. Okay. So, under normal conditions gases are insulators, but when the high applied voltage and low pressure, under these two conditions, high applied voltage, high voltage around 15,000 volts to 20,000 volts. That means the applied voltage is about 15,000 volts to 20,000 volts, and pressure of the gas low. Under low pressure and high applied voltage, electric discharge takes place in a gas. So, for this, the electric discharge, a special apparatus is called electric discharge tube. So, this electric discharge takes place inside a electric discharge tube. That means the gas is to be enclosed in a tube. That tube is called discharge tube. Okay. So, now we discuss how this electric discharge takes place under varying pressure. So, when the pressure is decreased slowly, the different conditions are appeared in this discharge tube. Different phenomena were observed in this discharge tube, and this was first observed by Crook and J.J. Thomson. Scientist named Crook. Now, first we discuss the discharge, electric discharge through a discharge tube. This is a glass tube, closed glass tube, and it is provided with two openings like this. It is a closed glass tube of length about 50 to 70 centimeter and 5 centimeter diameter. Okay. So, length of this tube is about 50 to 70 centimeter, and its diameter is about 5 centimeter. Now, it is provided with two openings like this, and this can be closed by means of a screws. Now, gas is enclosed in this discharge tube, and it is provided with two metal electrodes at the two ends. and this is cathode, and this electrode is anode. Now these two are connected to a high voltage, okay. Now two metal electrodes are connected to a high voltage. What we have discussed, high voltage about 15,000 volt to 20,000 volt. Okay. Now the gas is enclosed in this discharge. Now these two openings provided, one of them is connected to exhaust pump, and one is connected to manometer. Okay. So this is a discharge tube of length about 50 to 70 centimeter and diameter about 5 centimeter, and it is provided with two openings, contains two metallic electrodes, and these two electrodes are connected to high voltage. The electrode connected to the negative terminal of the battery is called cathode, and connected to the positive terminal is called anode. Cathode and anode, and these two openings provided in this discharge tube. One is connected to manometer. Manometer means used to measure the pressure inside this gas, inside this tube, and this one is to exhaust pump. That means it will create vacuum or exhaust some gas to decrease the pressure. Okay, so or to change the pressure. So these two are provided for that purpose. Now, when the gas, now assume that this is the experimental arrangement. Okay. Now first stage is that the pressure is atmospheric pressure, that is 76 centimeter of mercury. First condition. First, let us discuss about at the state pressure is equal to the atmospheric pressure. So under atmospheric pressure means under normal condition. So under normal condition there is no electric discharge. That means there is no electric discharge between these two electrodes. Now if the pressure inside this glass tube, discharge tube is first pressure is 76 centimeter of mercury, there is no electric discharge. Now second state, if the pressure inside the gas is decreased to just above 1 mm of mercury. So it means such a low pressure that usually the pressure, atmospheric pressure is 76 centimeter of mercury, but here it is 1 millimeter of mercury. Just means just above the 1 millimeter of mercury. At that condition, what was observed is a luminous column is luminosity is observed near these electrodes. That means the regions very close to these electrodes, a light region, that means a bright regions are formed very close to this. That means a luminous patches are observed near the anode and near the cathode, which are, and the remaining tube is in dark. That means when the pressure is just above the 1 mm of mercury, what it was observed is a luminosity is observed near these regions, near the electrode regions, near the cathode and near the anode, and the remaining tube will be dark. This is the first condition observed. Now reduce the pressure such that equal to 1 mm of mercury. This is just above 1 mm of mercury. Now, when the pressure is equal to 1 mm of mercury, then what it is observed in this state, in this condition is a luminous column is observed near the anode. A luminous column moves from anode. That means a light column or bright column of luminous column is emitted from this anode, and which fills the most part of this tube. That means it starts from anode and occupies most of the part of this tube. Okay, and this is called positive column. So, at a pressure equal to 1 mm of mercury, what observed is a glow of light starts from anode, which occupies the major part of the discharge tube, and this is called positive column. So, what we can write it as, at this stage positive column is observed when the pressure is equal to 1 mm of mercury. Now, the pressure is reduced to 0.5 mm of mercury. Okay, and not only that, this color of this positive column, that means color of this light which is emitted from this anode, depends on the gas enclosed in this glass tube. Okay, this color of this light or positive column depends upon the gas enclosed in the discharge tube. Now, if the pressure is reduced to 0.5 mm of mercury, that means further decreased. Now, a light starts from this cathode region. A glow starts from cathode region, near the cathode region, like this. What we can represent like this. A glow starts from cathode region, and at this stage what happens is this positive column breaks into bright patches of light. Actually at 1 millimeter pressure we get a positive column, but when the pressure is decreased to 0.5 mm of mercury, a light starts from this cathode region, and the positive column, that means the light started at the anode, will break up into small patches of light like this. That means this breaks into small parts, patches of light on a dark background. That means on a black background, patches of bright regions, bright spots are observed, and these patches are called striations. And the space between this negative glow and the striations, this is a dark region is observed, or dark space is observed between the negative glow and striations. The striations are nothing but patches of light breaked. That means this positive column breaks into patches of light, and that light patches are called striations, and the space between the striations and this negative glow will be dark, and this dark is called Faraday's dark space. Okay. When the pressure is 0.5 mm of mercury, a light starts from cathode region, and that light is called negative glow, and at the same condition, at that same state, this positive column which is appeared in this when the pressure is 1 mm, that positive column breaks into patches of light on a black background. That means on a black background a dark patches are observed, and those patches are called striations, and the region between the striations and negative glow is dark, and that dark space is called Faraday's dark space. Now the pressure is decreased again 0.1 mm of mercury. When the pressure is reduced from 0.5 mm of mercury to 0.1 mm of mercury. Now at that condition, this negative glow and these striations and positive column all together move towards anode. That means this negative glow, striations, and here is a positive column. Sorry, striations, the negative glow, the striations move towards anode when the pressure is 0.1 mm of mercury. Now a dark region is observed in between this negative glow and cathode, and this region is called Crookes dark space. Now when the pressure is 0.1 mm of mercury, the negative glow and the striations move towards the anode, and a dark region is observed in between the negative glow and this dark region is observed near the cathode, and this region is named as Crookes dark space. And this region is called Crookes dark space. Now if the pressure is further decreased to 0.01 mm of mercury, that is about 10 to the power minus 3 mm of mercury, then this entire region is filled with the dark space. That means all these disappear. This negative glow and this striations, all these disappear. An invisible radiation, that means the entire discharge tube fills with dark space, dark region, and at that condition, an invisible radiation proceeds from cathode towards anode. Okay, when the pressure is about 10 to the power minus 3 mm to 10 to the actual minus 2, not 10, minus 2, okay. 10 at the 10 to the power minus 2, below 10 to the power minus 2 mm of mercury, what happens is an invisible radiation, the entire space fills with a dark region, darkness, and an invisible rays travels from cathode to anode. And these rays are called cathode rays. And these rays are called cathode rays, and later it was found that these cathode rays are negatively charged, and now these are called electrons. Okay. Now later these cathode rays are found to be negatively charged, and now they are called electrons. So in this way electrons were discovered by J.J. Thomson. So okay, actually in discharge tube electrons are produced when the pressure in the discharge tube is about 0.01 mm of mercury and the voltage is about 15,000 to 20,000 volts. So this was the discovery of electrons. So electrons are due to the electric discharge tube are discovered in an electric discharge tube when the pressure inside the discharge tube is 0.01 mm of mercury and an high applied voltage about 15,000 to 20,000 volt. Okay. Now we will discuss again only. So discharge tube is a glass tube provided with two electrodes, anode and cathode, and it is provided with two windows or two openings. One is connected to manometer to check the pressure of the gas, and to decrease the pressure of the gas there is an exhaust pump. Now these two electrodes are connected to a high voltage. Now by step decreasing the pressure of the gas inside this discharge tube, we observe these following phenomena. So when the pressure is atmospheric pressure, there is no electric discharge. When the pressure is just above 1 mm of mercury, then a light bright regions found near these two electrodes only, the remaining space is filled with darkness. Now when the pressure is equal to 1 mm of mercury, a positive luminous column starts from anode, which fills the major portion of this discharge tube, and that is called positive column. Now the pressure is reduced from 1 mm of mercury to 0.5 mm of mercury, and a light starts from cathode, and that light is called negative glow. And under that condition, these bright region, that means the positive column breaks into patches of light, and those patches of light are called striations, and the region between the striations and negative glow is filled with a dark space called Faraday dark space. Now when the pressure is reduced from 0.5 to 0.1 mm of mercury, the negative glow striations move towards anode, and a region near the cathode, dark region near the cathode is observed, and that region is called Crookes dark space. Now when the pressure is reduced from 0.1 to 0.01 mm of mercury, an invisible radiation flows from cathode to anode, and these rays are called cathode rays, and these cathode rays are negatively charged, and now they are called as electrons. Okay. Now what are these? Now we discuss the properties of these cathode rays. So cathode rays are produced So how cathode rays are produced is, they are produced in discharge tube, so cathode rays are produced in a discharge tube when the pressure inside the discharge tube P is equal to about 0.01 mm of mercury, and the two electrodes are applied a high voltage of about 15,000 volt to 20,000 volt. Okay, under these two conditions, cathode rays are produced in a discharge tube. Okay, now the properties of these cathode rays, what are they? Now we will discuss the properties of cathode rays. Huh? 14. Now we discuss the properties of cathode rays. Already we have discussed how cathode rays are produced. So cathode rays are produced in a discharge tube between the two electrodes connected to from cathode, because by the name itself they are emitted from cathode. When these two electrodes, cathode and anode, are connected to high voltage, and the pressure inside the gas is less than or equal to 0.01 mm of mercury. Under such low pressure and high voltage conditions, these cathode rays are emitted. Now discuss the properties of these cathode rays. The first property of these were they travel in straight lines. So cathode rays travel in straight lines. And second one is they are deflected by electric field. So they are deflected in electric field, and third property, they are deflected in magnetic field. And fourth property is they affect photographic plate. Next one, they exhibit fluorescence on some materials. And seventh one, they possess mechanical energy. Okay, first we will discuss. So first property is they travel in straight lines. They travel in straight lines, and in connection to this is they cast shadow on the path. On their path. So the first property is they travel in straight lines. Suppose in the path of these cathode rays, when an object is placed in the path of cathode rays, they will cast a shadow of that object. And third property, they are deflected by electric and magnetic fields. They affect the photographic plate. They exhibit fluorescence on some material. That means fluorescence means when these radiations incident on certain material, that particular material emits light. That is called fluorescence. So when these radiation incident on some materials, they exhibit fluorescence, and they possess mechanical energy. That means they will exert pressure on objects in their path, and they will, another property is they penetrate through small thickness. That means if the thickness of the material body is very thin, small and thin bodies, they can penetrate through the, but for a heavy thick objects, they won't penetrate. Okay. And okay, next property, when these high speed cathode rays incident on a heavy molecular or heavy atomic number materials like tungsten, they will produce X-rays. So when high speed cathode rays are made to hit on a heavy metal target, then X-rays are emitted. These are the properties of the cathode rays. So they travel in straight lines and they cast a shadow of objects which are kept in their path, and they are deflected in electric field, deflected in magnetic field, they are affect the photographic plate, they produce fluorescence on some material bodies, they possess mechanical energy or exert pressure, and they penetrate through small thicknesses of the material bodies. So these are the properties of the cathode rays. Okay. Now, after the discovery of these electrons in this discharge tube, J.J. Thomson determined the specific charge of electron. That means E by m of electron. That means specific charge means the ratio of charge of the electron to its mass, or we can say specific charge is mass is charge per unit mass of the electron is called specific charge of electron, or the ratio of charge of the electron to the mass of the electron. So, the specific charge of electron was discovered by or determined by J.J. Thomson. Okay. Now, E by m of electron, J.J. Thomson method. So, J.J. Thomson experimentally found the specific charge of electron. Okay. The experimental arrangement for this J.J. Thomson method is like this. First, electrons have produced in discharge tube. So, in a discharge tube, electrons are produced okay. So, the apparatus consists like this. Here this is a discharge tube. So, discharge tube is to produce electrons, or that means here it is consists of a cathode and an anode, and this cathode and anode are connected to a high voltage of potential V. This is cathode and this is anode. This anode is provided with a small hole. This anode is provided with a small hole. Now, these emitted electrons from this cathode by electric discharge under the conditions of high voltage and low pressure, electrons are emitted from the cathode rays are emitted from this cathode, and which moves towards this anode, and this anode is provided with a small hole so that a fine beam of electrons will travel from this anode. That means a fine beam or fine pencil or a ray, just like a light ray. So, light ray. So, that fine beam of electrons will pass through this anode, and this electron beam is allowed to pass through two glass plates like this. Two plates P1 and P2, which are connected to an electric field. Another electric field is applied between these two plates P1 and P2, so that electron travels through these plates and a magnetic field is applied perpendicular to these plates. So this cross mark shows magnetic field. That magnetic field is perpendicular to the plane of this board, and that means perpendicular to this electric field. Electric field is like this. So electric field direction is from positive to negative field in between the plates like this, and this magnetic field is perpendicular to this board. That means perpendicular to this electric field and also perpendicular to this path of electrons, direction of motion of electrons, like this. So electric field is in this direction, electrons are moving in this direction, and magnetic field is perpendicular to both these directions like this. Okay, and that is indicated by this cross mark. Okay, now, and these electrons allowed to pass through these two plates and finally made to incident on a fluorescent screen. That means coated with zinc sulfide surface like this. When zinc sulfide, that zinc sulfide is a fluorescent material. So when this radiation hit or incident on that fluorescent material, a light is emitted from that surface. So okay, this is the experimental arrangement. So in this experimental arrangement, cathode rays are produced in this discharge tube, which are allowed to pass through an anode, which is provided with a small hole, so that we will get a fine beam or a fine pencil of these cathode rays, and these cathode rays are allowed to move through two plates P1 and P2. Between these two plates an electric field can be applied, and a magnetic field is applied perpendicular to this electric field and also perpendicular to the path of this cathode rays, and these cathode rays are allowed to incident on a fluorescent screen like this. Okay, this is the experimental arrangement. Now first we consider here in this discharge tube, when these cathode rays are emitted from this cathode by the positive potential to this anode, because these already we have discussed, the cathode rays are negatively charged, so they are attracted towards the positive potential. So by applying, that means by connecting this anode to this positive potential, these electrons or cathode rays are accelerated. That means if by applying this they are accelerated, means their kinetic energy is increased. Okay, that means on the very instant they are at this surface, they are accelerated by this positive potential V. Okay, that means they gain kinetic energy. So the kinetic energy of these electrons is half mv square, because initially its kinetic energy is 0. So but they are accelerated so that they gain kinetic energy. So the kinetic energy of these cathode rays varies from 0 to mv square. So we can write it as minus 0. This is the change in the kinetic energy in final and initial. But according to work energy theorem, this change in kinetic energy equal to work done. Okay, this is equal to W. But now when in electricity we have defined that potential V is defined as work done in moving unit positive charge. Okay, so electric potential means work done in moving unit positive charge. So for 1 unit charge, work done is equal to VQ. Then for Q units of charge, it is VQ. You can write like this. Okay, for 1 unit of charge it is potential. Potential means the work done in moving unit positive charge. But for moving Q units of charge, the work done is VQ. Therefore, we can equate this equation as half mv square minus 0 is equal to work done. That work done is equal to VQ. Now take this as small v and this is capital V. Half mv square velocity, and this is accelerating potential. Now this half mv square is equal to VQ. Now we can write it as half mv square is equal to VQ, but we replace this Q as charge of electron small e. So VE. Now the velocity of this electron is equal to V square is equal to VE by 2m. So velocity is equal to square root of Ve by 2m. Okay. Now first the cathode rays are emitted from this cathode and they are accelerated by a potential V, and by potential V, by accelerating they acquire kinetic energy. By work energy theorem, this change in kinetic energy equal to work done for moving a q units of charge, it is Vq. From this we determine the velocity of the electron as Ve by 2m. Now the electron moves to in this direction. That means with this velocity V, the electron moves through these plates. Suppose if there is no electric field, there is no magnetic field. Assume that there is no electric field and there is no magnetic field. In that case, these electrons, that means the electrons from emerging from this anode, move straight and incident at this point when there is no electric and magnetic fields. Suppose if we apply an electric field, only electric field is applied. Assume that only electric field is applied. In that case, due to this negative potential, it repels, these are also negatively charged particles, so these negative potential repels them. So these electrons will deflect like this. Instead of moving in this path, they are deflected in this path and they will incident at another point here. Suppose if you take it as O, P. So, okay, when there is no electric field and there is no magnetic field, these electron from the anode move straightly and incident at this particular point. That means it is undeviated and incident at the point O on the fluorescent screen. But when only electric field is applied, it moves in this direction. It is deflected and it incident at another point P. Instead of O, it is incident at P. Now, that means they are deflected means they will experience a force, and the force acting on a charged body in an electric field of strength E is EQ. F is equal to EQ. Okay. So that means these electrons, when electric field of strength E is applied between these two plates, these electrons are deflected by a force F equal to EQ, but we are taking Q as E. The charge of electron is represented as small e. So the force acting on this is small e into capital E. So with this force, they are deflected towards P. Suppose if only magnetic field is applied, in that case, the electron will deflect like this, because the force acting on this is Fe if we take, then Fm, the force on the charged particle in a magnetic field is given by BeV. Force on the magnetic field is given by BeV, because B is the strength of the magnetic field, B is the velocity of the charged particle, and E is the charge. Actually BQV, but we are taking as BeV because charge of electron is E. Here we are considering electrons. So the force on that particular charged electrons is BeV when only magnetic field is applied. So, and this is the direction of this particular force is determined by Fleming left hand rule, and by that rule they will tend like this. So they will deflect in this way and incident at Q. Okay. When there is no electric field, they will strike at O. They will move in the same straight path and incident at O. When only electric field is applied, they are deflected by a force E into E and they are deflected towards P. When only magnetic field is applied, they will deflect by a force BeV and they are deflected at Q. Okay. Actually, this Fm is equal to BeV sin theta actually. But here sin theta is made it 1 because theta is 90, because velocity vector and magnetic, in the assumption itself we took the magnetic field is applied such that it is perpendicular to velocity and perpendicular to the electric field. That means B and V are perpendicular, so theta is 90. In that case we can write it as B. Okay. So BeV is the force. With that force BeV, they are deflected towards Q. Okay. Now if both the magnetic field and electric field are applied simultaneously, these are the forces acting on the charged body, that means on the cathode rays electrons. Only when electric field is applied, this is only when magnetic field is applied. Assume now both the fields are applied. In that case, if this force is greater than this force, that means force due to electric field is greater than force due to magnetic field. That means EE is greater than BeV. If both fields are applied such that the strength of force due to the electric field is greater than force due to the magnetic field, then in that case also this deflect at another point. That means above O only. If the strength of this magnetic force due to magnetic field is greater than the force due to electric field, in that case electrons are deflected towards the Q. That means below this, any point below O. So when strength of the electric field is greater, or the electric field and magnetic field strengths are such that the force due to electric field is greater than the force due to magnetic field, the electrons are deflected above O. When the magnetic field, the force due to magnetic field is greater than force due to electric field, these electrons are deflected below O. Now if we adjust the strength of electric field and magnetic field such that these two forces due to these two fields again equal. Suppose if we adjust the E value and B value such that the forces due to electric field and force due to magnetic field are equal. In that case, again the electron will move in the same straight path and again incident at O. That means these two forces are balanced. That means if these two are equal, in that case we can write E is equal to BeV. EE is equal to BeV. Now you can cancel out this. So, sorry, BeV, small b, because, okay. Now the velocity of this electron is given by ratio of strength of electric field to magnetic field. Okay. B is equal to E by V. Okay. Now we have already V derived as velocity of the electron is equal to VE by 2m. That means the velocity of the electron from this condition, from this anode, is determined as square root of applied potential into charge by 2m. Now we substitute that in that equation. That means square root of, or we will take it as equation 1, and this is 2. Then from 1 and 2 we can write square root of VE by 2m is equal to E by V. Squaring on both sides, VE by 2m is equal to here I have my, it is 2E by E by, sorry. 2VE by m. Okay. Now here also it is 2VE by m is equal to E square by B square. Now E by m is equal to E square by 2 capital V B square. Now this E by m is specific charge of electron, that equal to E square by B square into 2V. Now J. Thomson experimentally observed that under any accelerating voltage and magnetic and electric field strengths, this particular E by M value is found to be constant. That means the value of this particular E by M is independent on this applied voltage V and the strength of this electric and magnetic fields. So he observed this value as 1.76 into 10 to the power 11 by Coulomb per kg. So the J.J. Thomson calculated by this method the specific charge of electron is 1.76 into 10 to the power 11 Coulomb per kg, and it is independent on the strength of electric field, magnetic field and the supplied potential and the gas enclosed in this discharge tube is all independent. This particular value is independent on all these parameters and it is a constant, and that is 1.76 into 10 to the power 11. So by this J.J. Thomson concluded that this electron is the constituent particle of matter. Okay. This leads to J.J. Thomson observation that electron is the constituent particle of matter. Okay. Now once again we go through this experiment. So the specific charge of electron means charge of electron per unit mass or ratio of charge of electron to its mass, and this was first determined experimentally by J.J. Thomson. The experimental arrangement for J.J. Thomson method is it consists of a discharge tube connected so that the cathode rays or electrons are emitted, so that these are accelerated by a potential capital V, and this anode is provided with a small hole so that a fine beam of electrons passes through this anode, and it is allowed to pass through two glass plates P1, P2. Between them electric and magnetic field, between these two plates P1 and P2, electric and magnetic fields are applied in two perpendicular directions, and when these electrons are allowed to pass through this without any electric and magnetic fields, these electrons move straight and incident at a point O on the screen. When electric field is only applied, they are deflected towards P. When only magnetic field is applied, the electrons are deflected towards Q. When both magnetic and electric fields are applied such that the strengths of electric and magnetic fields are adjusted so that force due to electric field and force due to magnetic field are equal. In that case, the electron again moves in the same straight line and incident at O. So under that condition, we have derived that E is equal to BeV. From that, velocity is equal to E by B. But the velocity of the electron is determined from this condition. When the electron is accelerated by a potential V, then the work done in moving is equal to change in its kinetic energy. Initially, the kinetic energy of this cathode rays from very instant they are emitted from the cathode is 0. They attain a maximum value of half mv square. Then the change in kinetic energy equal to work done, and that work done is equal to Vq, and that is Ve. That means charge of electron is replaced, Q is charge of electron, that is replaced as small e. So half mv square is equal to E. From this we have V is equal to square root of Ve by M. So the velocity is calculated in this equation. Now in this, when electric field and magnetic field both are applied and such that the magnetic field strength and electric field strength are adjusted so that the force due to magnetic field and force due to electric field balance each other, so that the cathode rays move undeviatedly and strikes at this point O. Now in that condition, we have equated the force due to electric field and force due to magnetic field. From this we have V is velocity of that electron is ratio of electric field strength to magnetic field strength. Now from equation 1 we substitute V is equal to velocity here, so that we can calculate E by M is equal to E square by 2V B square, and that is calculated as for any values of EVB, J.J. Thomson observed that this E by M value is a constant, that is equal to 1.76 10 power 11 Coulomb per kg. From this we can conclude that the electrons are constituent particles of matter. Okay.